I just dropped my entire tray of lettuce seedlings all over the floor. Hey everyone, welcome back to Thankfully Packed. I'm Chris. Today I'm going to be starting seeds indoors for the first time. I've never had a garden before. I think 1 year at the current house that I live in, my kids and I threw some seeds in like a raised bed and it just kind of overgrew. It was totally wild and like the bunnies and squirrels got to it. So I'm not counting that because we didn't really try and I did not know what I was doing. I definitely didn't seed start indoors. I didn't plant anything. I didn't even really like pick what we grew. It was just some random seeds that I got. But anyway, today I'm starting for the first time with intention. I have no idea if this is going to be a total fail or if I'll actually be able to grow anything, but we're going to figure it out together. If you've ever seed started before or successfully grew a garden or anything like that, please let me know like your biggest mistakes or any tips to help me avoid them because like I said, zero experience, zero knowledge. I'm going off of YouTube, hope, and prayers, and Google. So I gathered a bunch of supplies that Google and YouTube told me to do, so that's what I'm going to go off based off this year. Again, if you're an expert, be kind and let me know though what I should be doing or what you suggest doing because I really am just going to set myself up for manageable expectations. I think I'm going to set a goal right now. I want to be able to just grow one thing, at least one thing that I can actually eat successfully. I'm obviously going to grow more than one thing or attempt to grow more than one thing, but if I can just get one really good tomato or like a bunch of lettuce or something, like anything I can actually eat that's successful, I will be over the moon. I'm thinking it's gonna give me like that real like, wow, you know, a sense of pride and joy that I get when like one of my houseplants gets a new leaf or something because even though I've had houseplants for a little while now, every time I get a really cool new leaf or something, I'm still like, it's like a new baby every time. It's like amazing. The joy never gets old, it never gets dull. So I feel like if I can actually grow something outside and eat it, I think it's gonna be equal or better to that feeling. And if you have houseplants, I think you know what I mean. So I have all of my seeds. These seeds are a collection of what I found at the big box stores, and I went on a couple of websites because I wanted to grow a very specific type of tomato and I think a very specific type of peas. I don't remember, but I couldn't find it in stores. Did I need this many? No, I didn't. But I kind of got a little bit carried away maybe at the big box stores, like with those big displays, you know, when you walk into the garden center and you see all the seeds. But I also tried to keep in mind like what I would actually eat or want to grow. You're not going to see any squash here. You're not going to see any eggplant or anything like that. I don't like those type of foods and no one in my family does. So I tried to basically grab things that I would thought were pretty because I did grab flowers and that I think we would actually eat. Especially this first time gardening, I don't want to overwhelm myself because again, I have literally no experience and I don't want to make it so tough that I discourage myself from trying it again next year. I definitely am going to try to grow some marigolds because I also want flowers. I want to attract the bees and any other nice pollinators to my yard. I also kind of just want things to look pretty, so I'm going to be growing these. This is another packet of marigolds. Is it the same thing? So these say Sparky mixed colors and this one says Cracker Jacks mixed. So they're different types, but they might be pretty together. So definitely going to try these. Carrots, definitely want to try carrots. When I looked up kind of like the general how to start seeds, I know you have to pay attention to the frost dates. First of all, let me find out my frost date. That would be really helpful. Apparently, my frost date is 5 weeks from today. Some of these need a little bit more time, so I don't know if I messed up. Maybe I started too late. Has anyone ever successfully grown what they're trying to grow, even if it's a little bit late? Or am I just setting myself up for a disaster? I mean, I feel like 1 week is not too bad, right? Like I should still be able to grow these. Okay, so I'm gonna put this tomato, this super sweet tomato in my trying to grow pile, which is over here. Some of these seed packets are so vague. This one says, sow in rows directly outdoors as soon as the ground can be worked. Like, what does that mean? Is that also frost date? I don't know if that means the frost date or what, but I'm just gonna add it for now to the yes, I'm gonna grow you pile. And then I'll separate after which ones are indoors and outdoors. Okay, let's keep going. I really love tomatoes, so I really wanted a variety of tomatoes this year and they seem fairly easy to grow. This one is a sun gold tomato, which I hear is like almost like, well, I mean, it's still a tomato, but I've read and seen people react to it like it's almost like candy, like it's super sweet. Okay, so this is another one that says 6 to 8 weeks before planting outdoors. I'm gonna really hope that this one works out. Because again, I'm at 5 weeks, so wish me luck, guys. I'm gonna try this one anyway. And then this one is an Molly's ground cherry tomato, and it says same thing, 6 to 8 weeks before the last frost, and it says that these are as sweet as candy. And they come in this, like, I don't know if you can see in the picture, but they come in like this papery like thing that you unwrap, which I've never seen with tomatoes before. It says they're even good for making jellies and jams. I've never had a tomato that sweet that I'm like, okay, this could be like candy. So I'm just really curious to see what it tastes like. If I can grow one and try it, I think that'll be really cool. My kids aren't that into tomatoes, so I'm hoping that like the sweeter ones will maybe entice them to trying it in another form other than like pasta sauce. Look how gorgeous these two would look together. Oh my gosh. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing both, but I definitely am intrigued about this carpet of snow. That looks really cool. They both say that I can just start them outside when it's a little warmer in the spring. So I'm going to set these aside as well. Two more that I ordered online from this website, MI Gardener. I think he's on YouTube here as well. Super, super helpful videos. These, I think I missed my window for sure because they say 8 to 10 weeks before the last frost. So these are going to go in my maybe pile. I'm going to look them up and see if these still have a chance, even though I'm like basically, yeah, because if I did 10 weeks before last frost, I'm already cutting my time in half. I also have bell peppers. I'm only going to try to grow one of these because this seems to have like a little variety. It says 8 weeks before planting outdoors. The tomatoes should be okay. This says 4 to 6 weeks before putting it outside. I think this one is going to be successful. This is another tomato, no picture, but it says 6 to 8 weeks. So I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to see what happens. If nothing grows, then I've learned my lesson for next year to plan a little better and pay attention to those frost dates. This is candy tuft, it says. This is a bunch of random flowers. It just is labeled as cut flower mixture. So this one is good. I think it just says to sprinkle it outside when the last frost is over. So this one is gonna go in the yes pile, but the outdoor yes pile. This is another morning glory. So I've got the blue ones and the pink and purple ones. I'm going to also try to grow these zinnias. This lettuce says to grow it outside, so direct sow, but then I've seen people seed start lettuce inside of their house. So I don't know. I guess I'll look it up and see if I can grow this, if I can start this one inside. These are like super confusing. I wish that everything was like a little bit more specific about when to start, when to put it outside, and how to grow it. Because some of these seed packets have like just vague information, which is kind of annoying. This one I may have waited a little bit too long too, so I'm gonna put it in the maybe pile. So I'm left with a bunch of seeds, some that seem to be, it's not a video if I don't drop at least one thing one time. Okay, so I have my seedling trays here. I have my seed starting mix. And I have like a little container to wet it and prep it. So I'm gonna do that now. This is so hard to open. Hope that's fine. I'm just kind of giving it a mix. Oh, this is my cat. Kit Kat. I feel like this isn't moist enough. Where is, like, how is this? Where's the water? It's like repelling all water. That is so crazy. I've added so much water to it and it's barely like damp right now. I should have done this part first so that while I was picking my seeds, the soil could start to absorb. I didn't know it was going to be this hydrophobic. I feel like I'm making brownies. Forbidden brownies. Does anyone else love the smell of fresh soil? Like, this smells so good. It smells like, I don't know, like fresh rain or something when you walk outside. I think I'm going to start filling up my trays with this now. Does anyone know if these were like too big for the starter seeds? When I looked up other people starting their seeds, I feel like theirs were slightly smaller, but then I also saw other videos where people said that if you start too small, you're gonna have to upsize them indoors sooner. So I'm hoping that this isn't too big or too small. I hope this is okay. They do come with this bottom watering tray, so I can actually add water to here. I'll have to lift them out, I guess, but I can add water to this green one and let the seedlings soak water up from the bottom, which is apparently ideal. It also comes with this humidity dome, which they need to keep in the humidity. It also has this little vent thing here that I can like open up the holes all the way or halfway or whatever they need. Once they sprout, or once at least like the first one sprouts, you're supposed to take this dome off right away so you don't basically kill them. But yeah, so this little kit kind of seems to have everything I need. It over for a second. Oh my, that is all muddy water. I'm just gonna put these in first before I do that again. Okay, I grabbed one of my kids' chairs, so I'm a little bit lower, but I'm also in frame now, so I think that will hopefully be helpful. But I have my marker here to mark down what I'm gonna be sowing, because I definitely will forget. And I'm gonna start with my super sweet tomato variety. Google tells me 2 to 3 seeds per hole, so that is exactly what I'm gonna do. Oh god, they're so tiny. I know they're small, but for some reason I didn't expect it to be this small. Like, look how tiny. How deep am I supposed to put these? Maybe not so deep. 1/4 of an inch deep. I don't even know what that means. Alright, so that's 1, 2. A couple in here. Alright, I think that's good. Just gonna carefully put this back in. Should have done it the long way so I could just put the marker back here, but it is what it is. I'm just gonna cover it lightly. That is done, but this isn't closing. I need some tape. And now it's closed. The beefsteak. So I'm going to do 2 cells of these, because these, if I can successfully grow them, are really huge, and I feel like a couple of plants of these should be okay. I don't feel like I need that many tomatoes, but we'll see. So 2. I just feel like if I don't close it right away, I'm going to definitely drop them and all these tiny seeds will go everywhere. Beef steak. And then I just need to cover it up. This little one, just for funsies. I don't really think I need to water it more than that. The soil is pretty wet, but I'm just gonna put the dome on it for now. So that's my first one done. They're so small. Holy tiny. These are even smaller. These ground cherries are so tiny. Okay, so there's 3 in each of these. And then I'm just gonna use some soil from this one to cover that one slightly. I've written down all of my labels so that I am organized as possible. And now I'm going to start with the peas. I only have 2 varieties. So I have the melting sugar snow pea and I have the golden sweet pea. Both of these say that I should start them a little bit sooner than I am, but I'm just going to hope for the best. And it also says 2 to 3 seeds per hole, but I can hear and feel that these are much bigger, so I'm going to try to space them out in the cells a little better, because if they do end up successfully growing, I'm going to be able to kind of like rip them apart from each other. Like sometimes the roots get tangled together, so I'm going to be able to hopefully take them apart from each other, untangle them a little bit easier if they're not like literally on top of each other. So I'm going to start with the golden sweet pea. These are much bigger. So I think these need like a slightly bigger hole area. hopefully at least one of them grows, and hopefully they grow in time for me to get some of them before the season is over outside. Next up is the melting sugar snap pea. So these are basically white, but the other ones are brown. Same size though. So 1 and 2, that looks good to me. And add the label before I forget. The sweet bell pepper variety, it looks like it'll just grow like a mix of different colors. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, onions next. Has 2 to 3 seeds per hole as well. There's a lot in here. I'm not too hopeful for these because this one says 8 to 10 weeks before the last frost date, and I'm at 5. But you never know. So I'm just going to do 2 cells of each with about 3 seeds in each one, and cross my fingers. And I'm going to do the burgundy next. Okay. These are really small, so I'm hoping that I'm not accidentally confusing them with the soil because they're also really dark. They're basically the color of the soil. I think I covered them. I mean, I guess we'll find out. It's really hard to tell. I should have done it just like a little bit deeper in the cell and then covered it with like a smaller amount of soil so that I could make sure that they were getting covered, but it is what it is. I'm just going to do the spinach in this last row. So I saw this really intriguing way of growing lettuce. It's called cut and come again. So basically you grow the lettuce outside, and then as you need the leaves, you go ahead and you cut them or rip them off or whatever, and leave the actual plant rooted in the soil so that it can keep growing new leaves during the season. Then if you need more, you just go back for more. I got this variety specifically to try that. It's just a gourmet blend, so it's got a different variety of lettuce inside. This one specifically I got because it says that it grows small and delicious heads of lettuce, ideal for serving as individual salads. So this one I think will just be a very small, like kind of compact single serving type of thing, and then I can take that out and eat it. I think I might actually do it this way. So do lettuce, the purple blend, and then the burpee this way, so I can do 3 cells of lettuce, because I think having a lot of lettuce would be really good. These are so small. This one's like really glued shut. What the heck? Struggling. 1, 2. Ooh, that was way more than 3. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm just gonna hope for the best with that one. Just dropped so much dirt on the floor. Maybe it's because I'm at toddler height since I'm using the tiny chair, but let's be real. I would have dropped the soil anyway. There we go. That's my little lettuce tray. So I'm going to do zinnias here, morning glory here for the mammoth mix, and then the blue morning glory here. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. I finished all the flowers, all of the fruits and vegetables that I was going to do, but I just have a little bit of soil left in here. I think I'm just going to use this all up. the heck? This is a brand new marker and the whole cap just like detached itself. What the heck? How? I think it's fine though. So I'm gonna do some more flowers here. Okay, so good information for future Chris to know, or you, if you care. This bag of Espoma organic seed starter, which is 8 dry quarts, will fill up about 9 of these trays from this kit. And I have 1 left over and just like a little itty bit of soil left, so I think that's pretty good. Okay, so here are all the flowers. I have this space over here dedicated to the tomatoes and the vegetables. So I also read that tomatoes specifically need heat to germinate. So I have this heat mat that I ordered. I just opened it. I have no idea if it's any good, but I think just like they just need the heat up until they sprout. And then you can just take them off the heat. I'm gonna double check that, but I did read that it would be good to give them some heat. Now, I don't know if it's a good idea to place this directly on this cardboard or if I should prop it up with something else that maybe isn't a fire hazard. I can't imagine this gets too hot, but I'll read the warnings. Let's see. It doesn't say anything about being careful on what material to place it on, but my common sense is telling me to use something else to prop this up. So I might use like a plastic bin or something not super flammable. Trying to maximize the space, so I'm gonna fit another box over here because the light bar goes all the way across. It's not just on these 2 sides, so there should be enough light there for something. And this heat mat doesn't have an on or off switch, so I don't really know if it's on. I'm just gonna wait and see. I just dropped my entire tray of lettuce seedlings all over the floor. Okay, so I don't have enough soil, seed starting mix, to make a whole new tray. So I'm going to have to just kind of use whatever's here. And I'm going to add new seeds to each cell because I don't know like what's going to end up where, but there might be a mix of seeds and I hope that that doesn't cause like any overcrowding. Is this okay? Is it sanitary to just pick up the soil like this? I think it's fine. I'm pretty sure there's seeds mixed up in like everything now, so. All right, take 2. Apparently it doesn't do well with heat, so I'm not gonna put it on the heat mat. I'm gonna put it right here. Okay, the heat mat is definitely warm. It's not even that much hotter than I thought it would be. I'm just going to put the tomatoes on top of this. So far, I've got my flowers, I've got my 1 lettuce here, and then I've got 2 of my tomatoes. Then I have to just look up and see what else needs heat for germinating, because I think I can fit 1 more on here, but if not, then I'll just have to find somewhere else to put them. So unfortunately, another thing that I didn't think about, again, first timer here, is that I mix the peas and the bell pepper in the same tray. The bell pepper will thrive if I put it on the heat mat, but the peas don't necessarily like to be warm because they're like a cooler weather crop. I think I'm gonna put it kind of like half and half. So I'm gonna have to like, let me see. If I just do this, switch this around so that it faces this way. Anyway, I can see what the labels are. I think I can get the bell pepper on the mat, and then these 2 I can kind of push over onto the cardboard and hopefully they don't get too much heat. But what I did was I balanced the bell pepper on the heat mat, and then these 2 peas are kind of like, well, this one's kind of in the air, but it's anchored over here on the cardboard box, and these are the 2 peas, the golden sweet and the melting sugar snap. So I think that'll kind of work. And that is definitely another thing to think about, is what conditions do the seeds need before I put them in the tray and like mix them up. Because it would have been a lot easier if it was just like a tray of peas or a tray of bell peppers, because then I wouldn't have to deal with this weird Tetris situation. So this area is basically full at this point. I I don't really know where to put this last one. I kind of wanted it to have its own designated section, but the onions don't need heat, so I'm not going to try to do anything more with that. I think what I'll do is, if you look right here, I have this little plant on a stand, which raises it up anyway, so I'm just going to switch it, kind of get it close to that side, so it's kind of like a row of germinating seeds. I really do not like the look of this though. I think this is okay for this year, but next year I might have like a seedling starter area because this looks like it kind of messes up the aesthetic of my plant shelves. But you know what? Another thing to think about for future Chris. Alright, so for now I'm just closing all of the humidity domes just to keep them humid until they start sprouting. So I kind of turned it so that they can keep a lot of the moisture in there. And now we wait. Okay, so some of these seed packets, like the peas, say that it'll germinate in about 8 to 12 days. So maybe looking around at least a week before I see a sprout. So I'm definitely gonna just check it about every 5 minutes obsessively until then. I think that something will grow. I mean, like I have a lot of things. Something has to grow, right? Absolutely nothing happening here on day 2 except that the tray that I balanced on the heat mat and on the cardboard box is obviously very warm. Look at all that water. Anyway, I don't think my little experiment worked and the peas are probably pretty warm. So all I did was just open up the vent completely and make sure that it gets some air circulation. Okay, these flowers clearly understood the assignment. Look at that morning glory, that zinnia. Yes, finally. Okay, it's only day 3. And both trays are growing. I don't know what's going on with this third row over here on this tray, but whatever, we've got something. We have growth and I'm here for it. Now, the only other thing that's growing right now is the lettuce, the burpee bib, and you can see the tiny little sprouts right there. The other lettuce, no luck, and literally nothing else is growing yet, but this gives me hope that I did something right and that hopefully these other ones will also grow. Okay, day 4 here. As you can see, there have been some changes. Some of the seedlings that I already had were looking pretty leggy. The stems were super long. I think they were too far away from the light, so they were just reaching for it. So I added some more boxes, propped them up a lot closer, and I'm obviously using more shelves as well because I wanted to center them as much as I could right underneath those lights. And as you can see, every single tray except for one, I've removed the humidity dome because every single tray except for that one has at least a sprout in it. And I'm super, super excited about that. So these are the super leggy ones that I was mentioning. I think they were just too far, but I'm hoping that I can still save some of them. Hard to tell, but there is a little green right there in that back corner. And I think I read that I'm supposed to take the humidity dome off as soon as I see a sprout in any of the cells, so I didn't want to chance it and I just removed it. Tiny little sprouts here as well. So I mean, I've got something. There's green, there's life, something's going on here. So I hope that having them this close to the light is ideal. This is that tray that fell over, so I don't even know what to expect from that tray. There's gonna be seedlings everywhere probably. And these are my tomatoes. Little tiny baby just popped up today, so I took off that humidity dome like I said. All right, so it's been about 7 days since I planted all of my seedlings. I'm happy to report that everything has grown for the most part. Some things do still look a little leggy to me. These look really, really long, these stems, and I did increase the light for some of these, so I'm not really sure if it was just too late for me to add light, but at least I am seeing a second set of true leaves coming in on these shorter ones, so I'm hoping these are good. And either way, I'm going to plant them outside because I figure these are just flowers, so as long as I don't completely flop over and break the stems, I should be okay. This is that tray where I rescued it from the floor and kind of put all the soil back in and then added more seeds on top of that because I just didn't know where the seeds were. My peas are growing really, really fast. So these 2 trays are peas, and then this one is my bell pepper, which is just now right there starting to show a little bit of a sprout coming up. And then over here I have my tomato seedlings, which again, I think I'm having a little bit too far from the light, so I'm gonna have to adjust that. Some of these back here are a little leggy, but at least something is coming up. I'm not seeing anything on the spinach side, but I do have some onions sprouting. They kind of look like they're struggling to snap up, so I'm just gonna leave them alone and hope that they continue to grow. These, I see some of them, it's kind of hard to tell, but some of them are growing. Their second set of leaves right here, so that's promising as well. So, did I nail seed starting? Absolutely not. There are so many mistakes that I've made that I can tell if I continue to do this like year after year, I'll just be able to improve upon. The frost date was a really big thing that it's like rookie, I guess, seed starting 101 mistakes. I should have definitely paid attention to the frost dates. Knowing when my frost date is not enough, because then I have to go through the seeds that I want to grow and figure out when I'm supposed to start them indoors in relation to that frost date. Some of them say 4 to 6 weeks, some of them said 8 to 10 weeks. So yeah, a lot of planning that I just didn't account for. Other things that I messed up on, definitely planting seeds that don't necessarily germinate at the same time in the same tray. So again, I'm thinking of those snap peas and those bell peppers. I should have really just done one tray of the same type of plant, or a plant that they will sprout up at the same time, because now I'm left with these poor little bell peppers that have barely begun to show that they're gonna come out of the surface. I'm not necessarily regretting that I scaled it back in terms of how many things I seed started, because again, I didn't want to overwhelm myself this first time around, but I think moving forward, more is better, because I will have higher chances of getting healthy plants. For example, if I plant 2 cells of spinach and they both fail, I'm left with no spinach. So I think I should have done more, and then at least then I could have like the pick of the crop, or whatever you would say, okay, this seedling is a lot stronger, or this seedling looks a lot better than this one, and I could be a little bit more choosy. Now, because I did so little, I'm kind of left with crossing my fingers that they all work, and that's just not very likely. Also, a few other logistical things, like not having a good place to keep my seeds. This is really bothering me, so I'm gonna have to figure out something soon. But just thinking ahead and realizing that these seed trays, first of all, are gonna need light for a while, but they also need space. So where am I gonna put this? Where am I gonna start this? And where is it not gonna be like a total eyesore? That's the other thing, lighting. I think that I should have started them much, much closer to the light from the very beginning, and I think that would have helped with some of the leggy seedlings that I have. Again, I don't know if that's gonna be a problem for some things like the flowers, or if I'm okay, but yeah, that is also another big thing that I should have considered. So I think that's all for now. I'm just gonna keep these hopefully alive, and I'll update you guys in the future. If you liked watching me struggle through this, definitely hit like and subscribe so that we can keep learning together. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so that when I post an update on these seedlings, you can catch that video then. Hopefully I'll have some good news for you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye!